Fields of Solace. Chapter 1. Sunrise on the Farm. The first rays of dawn crept over the rolling hills of Meadowbrook, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Thomas Whitaker, a third-generation farmer, leaned against the wooden fence of his 200-acre farm, sipping coffee from his well-worn mug. The rhythmic crowing of roosters and the distant mooing of cows were the symphony that had greeted him every morning for as long as he could remember. At 45, Thomas had weathered years of back-breaking labor, unpredictable harvests, and the occasional fury of nature. His weathered face told a story of perseverance, etched with lines that mapped countless early mornings and late nights. Yet, despite the challenges, this land was his life, his inheritance, and his legacy. "Tommy, you coming in for breakfast?" called his wife, Clara, from the front porch. Her voice carried the warmth of home, a beacon in the chaos of his busy days. "Be there in a minute," Thomas replied, his gaze lingering on the cornfields swaying gently in the breeze. They were his pride and joy, a testament to months of hard work. Chapter 2. The Daily Grind. By mid-morning, the farm was alive with activity. Thomas and his son, Sam, a lanky 19-year-old with a permanent smudge of dirt on his face, were repairing a broken tractor. "You think we'll have enough corn for the co-op this year?" Sam asked, wiping sweat from his brow. "If the weather holds, we might even have a surplus," Thomas said, tightening a bolt. "But you know how it is, nothing's certain in this line of work." Sam nodded, his youthful optimism tempered by the reality he'd grown up with. Farming was a gamble, and every season was a roll of the dice. By afternoon, Thomas was in the fields, checking irrigation lines. The sun blazed overhead, and the air was thick with the earthy scent of soil. His thoughts wandered to the past, his father's hands guiding his own as a boy, teaching him the art of planting and the patience of waiting. Chapter 3. The Storm. That night, as the family sat down for supper, the wind began to howl. The sky darkened, and a distant rumble of thunder signaled an approaching storm. Thomas's heart sank. He'd seen storms like this before, violent and unforgiving, capable of destroying months of work in a single night. "Sam, get the animals into the barn," he instructed. "Clara, check the windows and doors." The storm hit with a vengeance, battering the house with rain and wind. Thomas stood by the window, watching helplessly as the fields turned into a muddy quagmire. Chapter 4. Picking up the pieces. The morning after the storm, Thomas surveyed the damage. The cornfields were partially flattened, and several irrigation lines were torn apart. Yet, amidst the devastation, there was hope. Some crops had survived, and the barn, though battered, still stood. "We'll get through this," Clara said, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Her unwavering belief in him was his anchor. Chapter 5. Harvest and Reflection. Weeks later, the harvest began. Despite the setbacks, Thomas and his family worked tirelessly, reaping what they could. Neighbors pitched in, a reminder of the strength of their close-knit community. As the last truckload of corn left for the co-op, Thomas stood by the fence once more, watching the sunset. He felt a deep sense of fulfillment, not from the profits, which were modest, but from the knowledge that he had persevered. This was the life he'd chosen, with all its hardships and joys. The land had tested him, shaped him, and in many ways, defined him. And as the stars began to appear in the vast sky above Meadowbrook, Thomas Whitaker knew he wouldn't have it any other way. The end. Thanks for watching. For more story, please support and subscribe our channel.